All right, Caleb. So tell me, there we go. What's going on with Tennessee recruiting as the Vols threw out a ton of offers over the past couple of days. I guess they're getting revved up for the spring, have some people in for spring practice, and then summer camp is a big recruiting month, unlike it used to be. So what's Tennessee thinking handing out all these offers?
Well, this February dead period, it's kind of weird because, especially for these 2025 kids, they're receiving offers from Tennessee, but they've never personally spoken with the coaches. It's just like Tennessee's coaches giving offers to their high school head coach. So that always makes it kind of weird. But it seems like they've been hitting it hard, especially in the Maryland, Virginia area, which is Kelsey Pope and a couple grad assistants working up there. So that's where it seems they're putting a lot of emphasis right now, and they've been handing out a slew of offers recently.
All right, let's start with a couple of those that you have spoken to. And I want to start with Antonio Coleman, defensive lineman out of Alabama, gets an offer from the Vols. What do you think of the 2025 prospect?
Yeah, and with a lot of these 2025 kids Tennessee has been offering, we talked about this before, but it used to be that if Tennessee didn't get in early, they probably couldn't compete with Alabama and Auburn and some of the schools in the SEC. I say Auburn, but Alabama, bigger schools that Ohio State that suck up these recruits. Well, Tennessee's now able to compete with those schools and getting in with these prospects early. So Antonio Coleman's an interior defensive lineman from Alabama. He's been taught his head coach, I should say, has been talking to Alabama. They have interest in him, and Tennessee extended him an offer. And he's 6'2", 265 pounds. And something he told me is that when he gets to college, he wants to be that force in the middle of the defensive line, that anchor that that if they try to run it up the middle, you have that guy there to stop them. So Chris Jones is one of his inspirations. He talked about Aaron Donald too when I talked to him. So he's a guy that wants to lock down the middle of the defensive line. And we know in the SEC that offensive linemen and defensive linemen really win and lose you games.
You mentioned Virginia. Let's go there. Defensive back Remington Moss. Great name. Any relation to Remington Steele, the detective from the early 1980s, which was played by the guy who later played Bond. I can't remember his name. Anyway, Pierce Brosnan? Yeah. And or Randy Moss. How about that for an intro for a question?
I do not think so, but he's another guy from Virginia, and he's somebody who doesn't limit himself to corner. So he said he wants to be. He's listed as cornerback on Rivals and on 3, but he wants to be a defensive back. So for his high school, he's played safety, corner, and he didn't give up a touchdown at either position all season. So he's a lockdown guy, and he said that when he received an offer from Tennessee, it kind of like took him a day to really think about the weight of it, and then he was super excited. And something that stood out to me, and that I think a lot of older Tennessee fans will enjoy, is he used Eric Berry in his post. And he said that Eric Berry is a guy who's a lockdown corner who went to Tennessee, and he's a guy that attracts his attention, and he's somebody that he looks up to, really. And he's gotten 10 offers since November, and most notably he's talking to Ole Miss, Penn State, Virginia Tech, Maryland, schools like that. And he's from St. Michael the Archangel Catholic High School in Fredericksburg, Virginia. So they have been hitting the DMV sort of area, that Maryland, Virginia area, super hard over this week.
Is it true that his nickname is Remington Sticks to You Like Moss?
I do not think so.
That's from Elias. I've got to give that one up. That's pretty good.
I was gonna say we might have to bring that one up, huh?
Yeah.
Good DB name.
Ask him that. Say, what do you think? Yeah, you just be Remington Sticks Like Moss.
Like Jarreau, lockdown.
Yeah. We just need to work in a kudzu reference.
Sticking with the DMV, Jarreau, we got a Maryland prospect that the Vols have recently offered. We're going to have a post from you up on this a little bit later today. Am I pronouncing this right? Gianni Contosis from Upper Marlboro, which is PG County.
Sounds like something you need a penicillin shot for. What was that name again, Calhoun?
Is that how I pronounce it? Gianni Contosis? I don't want to mispronounce the name.
Got a bad case of Gianni Contosis.
He's never coming on to do an interview with us.
That was terrible. We'll stick with Contosis. So he's another one. And I mean, you can't really read too much into these posts when they get offers, but he had Jalen Hyatt as his, because they post usually like a power tee and then a picture of a player. Well, he used Jalen Hyatt, so I asked him what his thoughts were on him, and he said that watching Jalen Hyatt succeed at Tennessee kind of just motivated him to be that same receiver when he gets to college. And another thing that stood out to me about him is his high school runs a very similar offense. Rock Christian Academy runs a very similar offense to Tennessee. So he said he loves their passing game, and what Josh Heupel's doing really stands out to him. And which I really think whenever, like, you think about this with some 5-stars too, when Tennessee offers these receivers, it's almost like instant interest, because why wouldn't you want to be a receiver in an up-tempo spread offense where you're going to be schemed open almost every down? So he's somebody who lined up outside mostly, but he could play slot as well. It's just a matter of where they need him. And he finished with 917 yards and 11 touchdowns in 9 games on 47 catches this past season. So he's a guy, these 2025 guys don't have rankings yet, but he's one I could see being ranked pretty highly. And he possesses a lot of raw skills. And obviously Kelsey Pope and the Vols saw something in him to offer him. So.
Yep. All right. So who else is out there that you've been keeping tabs on?
So recently we've had some 2024 guys narrow down their choices. So Ife Obidigu, I probably butchered that. He's a Baltimore guy, but he's the number 158 prospect nationally in this class, and he's a cornerback. And he narrowed his choices down. He included Tennessee in his top schools, as well as Alabama, Maryland, Michigan, Oregon, USC, and Ohio State. So he's 6'1", 185, and the Vols hosted him in January at a junior day. And he really, really liked Tennessee, and he was super happy with what they were showing him. And like we saw this year, this team needs defensive backs. I think that'll be something we see as an emphasis in the 2024 class for sure. In the transfer portal, I don't think they can get enough defensive backs to fill in, because their secondary was pretty bad this past season, right near the bottom of FBS. So if they get a guy like Obidigu in 2024, he's somebody they could probably put in as a freshman if they still are lacking depth and lacking talent in the secondary. Another guy that narrowed his choices down too was Kylan Fox. He's listed as an athlete, but he mainly is a tight end or defensive end and edge rusher. And so he listed it. It's a top 15, but SEC schools that he included in his top schools: Alabama, Florida, South Carolina, Auburn, Ole Miss, and Tennessee. So he's out of Georgia. We saw Heupel have a lot of success recruiting out of Georgia. So he's a guy I'd watch. He's 6'4", 208 pounds. And something that we see with a lot of these prospects is when Deion Sanders extend somebody a scholarship, they almost take a visit the next week. So he's the same way. Colorado was in his top schools, and it really doesn't – Deion Sanders obviously didn't get in with a lot of these kids early because he just got to Colorado. But with these 2024 kids, he's already in their top schools and hosting kids on a lot of visits. So that's something I pay attention to, and I feel like the Vols have a pretty good chance of landing him. I assume he'll probably narrow his recruitment down before the season, and then he's probably a guy that may announce his commitment at signing day or a little bit before.
Now, let me ask you guys something for the round table here, and that is, does the Deion Sanders thing get old at some point? I mean, he let's remember, he is a special transcendent type of player, but yeah, he is an older guy, and if they don't win this season, does that sort of glean maybe wear off? Let me start with you, Calhoun, from a recruiting perspective only.
Yes, because I think it does wear off if he doesn't win kind of fast, because he doesn't have, I don't think, the recruiting connections that a lot of these coaches that are splash hires for recruiting have. For instance, Penny Hardaway has not really lived up fully in Memphis in basketball, but Penny Hardaway has a lot of but Penny Hardaway coached high school basketball for 4 years in Memphis. So he's got major recruiting connections. And if anybody who's covered Memphis Tiger basketball knows that you can just recruit that city, and that's it to build your team.
Basically, Penny Hardaway could fall flat on his face and win 20 games.
Exactly. Just because there were Larry Finch before Penny Hardaway. Larry Finch in the 90s was known for this. All you had to do was just go to your backyard, find three guys, and start them. And so Deion Sanders, you can't go find guys in your backyard in Colorado. That's not like a football state. And so he doesn't have, and I don't think he has the recruiting contacts that people think he has.
Well, I would open up that Compton pop line again. That he would go into LA and he would sell Bill McCartney would go into LA and he would sell parents on the fact that you can get out of LA where your son's going to face dangers day in and day out, just going to and from school. So I would try to open up that as well. But you're right, there's not a lot of prospects there. I wonder, especially Jarreau in the DMV, which we're talking about, DC, Maryland, and Virginia. That's a long trip. I mean, that's still quite a ways across the globe, and I wonder if kids are going to be willing to go that far away.
I think if Deion Sanders puts out results, so I don't know if we'll see that this year, but maybe 2 years down the road, if he has guys in the draft or like maybe Travis Hunter would be a good example. Maybe if he ends up, number one prospect, if he ends up panning out and going to the NFL, then I feel like Deion Sanders might pitch that to other kids. But you talk about being a long ways away. Nico Imaliva came from California to Knoxville.
True.
So, and the DC, I'm not a meteorologist or anything, but I feel like DC to Colorado, the climates really aren't very different because I feel like there's snow once a week up there as well. So you think about that, and I really feel like if the kid wants to go to the school, likes the coach, likes what they're putting out there, I don't think travel will be that big of an issue for most guys.
Well, true. And pot's legal. Yeah, and pot's legal in both places too.
That's true, but I also have to bring up, I just realized that Jarreau you just exposed how far from the South you are. You're from Louisiana, right?
Mm-hmm.
You would think DC and Colorado has similar climates. They don't.
I tried.
DC is in the summer. DC actually feels like a southern city because of the humidity, because it's in a swamp. And it doesn't snow as much in the winter as other places. But look, I get it.
The point, Nico, I feel like it probably, like today it's 60 degrees and sunny, and tomorrow it's going to be 40 degrees and raining. I feel like Nico probably didn't get a lot of that in California. So
yeah,
he wanted to play for Josh Heupel. If a kid in DC wants to play for Deion Sanders, I feel like he'll go and play for Deion Sanders.
The other thing that's a moot point now is used to say, well, can the family get out there to see the kid play? Well, with NIL money, that can be, you can make accommodations easily and take care of that. So that's one of the questions. It was always not necessarily the kid going. It was the family. Can they see him play? I think it'll be interesting to see the non-conference opponents that Deion Sanders lines up and who wants to play him. Can he get a game in the South at some point, a home and home, where he gets exposure from a recruiting standpoint? That's what I would be trying to do if I were him, or Texas or anywhere else, especially with the Pac-12 blowing up. Anybody else we haven't mentioned? Tennessee prospects on your board, Jarreau?
Yeah, so I want to talk about Bennett Warren. He's a 2024 offensive tackle out of Texas. And he's 6'7", 305 pounds.
Golly bum.
So this kid is massive, and he's not ranked yet, but he's received 15 offers since January 18th. So less than a month ago, Tennessee offered him on January 18th, and since then, he's gotten 15 more offers. So he's getting a lot of attention fast. And Texas A&M is the school to beat for him because he has friends. He's from Sugar Land, Texas. He's got friends who go to Texas A&M, and that's the only place that he's had a unofficial visit to so far. And he said he really liked it, and it was awesome. But Tennessee, he said he has a great relationship with the coaches. Particularly, he mentioned Ellerby, the offensive line coach. He said he really likes him, and they've talked a lot. So he's a guy that's going up a lot of people's boards very fast. And, I mean, I don't think anybody would say no to a 6'7", 300-pound offensive tackle.
Nope. Sounds good. We look forward to your coverage at Off the Hook Sports. Keep it up. Certainly appreciate it. And Tennessee, with this dead period, is still very active, as everyone is. So, Jarreau, we appreciate. Oh, and also you'll have a weekly look at Tennessee's baseball team that we're really looking forward to, and that'll be out this afternoon. So, thank you, sir.
Yep, and then that'll have I did like a little projected lineup, which for the infield, it's about set for baseball, but the outfield and catcher, it's still up in the air. So they start on Friday, and I know I'll be tuned in, so it'll be fun to watch.
Sweet. Maybe we'll get a one-finger salute surrounding second base.
Maybe so.
What was the one recruit's name? Colitis? What was it? I'm sorry. What was it?
Contosis.
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 Okay, I feel as if we're getting that incorrect. but that's just a guess. Contosis.
Hey.
It reminds me, do you remember the commercial Simple Chronic Halitosis talking about bad breath? Do you remember that, Caleb? Calhoun?
No.
Oh. Simple Chronic Contosis. Yeah, it was about people who had bad breath. I'm sure his breath is fantastic. So is yours, Jarreau.
Well, listen, if he comes to Tennessee, you'll have to start practicing on his name, I guess.
Yes, like we have with Nico. See, Nico,
Yep.
I got it every time. Thank you, Jarreau.
Y'all have a good one.